By hook or by crook, you knew that the Democrats were going to have their public health emergency or whatever their new pandemic was going to be by the time the election started to roll around. Most of the big primaries are happening right now. Some of the ballots are still mysteriously being counted. Looking at you, Maricopa County, once again. But we'll be talking about that at a later date. I don't know when that video is going to be released, but I got one in the pipe here for right now. But we're going to be focusing on what specifically the administration in whole has been doing today. Okay, so as of right now, the administration declares monkeypox a public health emergency. Fucking why? Why exactly? We know how it's transmitted. That's the word I was looking for. We know that there's been less than a handful of deaths associated with it, and the symptoms are negligible, to say the least, outside of the, really ugly boils and shit that happens whenever, you decide to fuck another man in the ass. But outside of that, it's just a subsection of a subsection of people. It's not it's not a public health emergency. It's a subsection of the public, and then a subsection of that. So what the fuck are you guys doing? Oh, right, you're just grasping at power because the last time you called something a public health emergency, you shut down businesses for 2 fucking years. The Biden administration declared a public health emergency for monkeypox on August 4th in a bid to unlock funding and more power to deal with the virus. Fucking why? Okay, just hand out condoms or just, stop hosting gay pride parades and we'll be able to fucking deal with this pretty appropriately. Which officials say, yes, literally every fucking piece of documentation with this well-researched and well-known about virus tells you it spreads amongst homosexual males, the fucking gay population, a subsection of the gay population. That's fucking it, okay? Not the public health, okay? What do we have so far? The most outlandish claims, or rather the most outlandish cases. Couple of kids that are being handled by some gay couples, which again, if they contracted monkeypox, okay, that just goes to show you that women out there just hoping that, yeah, you can do whatever you can in order to make your man loyal. That just really kind of sets that idea out to pasture. But regardless, okay, it's 98% contained within the homosexual community. I hate sounding all technical and shit. The way that I'd want to describe it, it would get the video taken down. But regardless, let's get back to this. Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra issued the declaration, as he's subtly coming out, saying in the August 4th conference call with reporters that the move will allow for quicker distribution of the monkeypox vaccine. Again, you could just fucking ship a pallet of this goddamn shit to San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, a couple other big blue cities. Outside of that, everything else will be fucking done and dusted. But yeah, no, you need additional funding because, of course, the government is here to help and they'll make everything better, right? Fuck off. Becerra was joined by Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, trying to hitch her wagon onto this one because, that whole, what was it, BA.2? Is that the new variant that's running around with a coof? Nobody's taking this shit seriously anymore, so you need something. You pray that this will get worse than it is, but it's not going to. It has like a minuscule of a fraction of a percentile of fatality associated with it. I think I've literally seen 2 people die of this. 2 people in the entire fucking world, and I'm sure that they were just upstanding, very healthy citizens to begin with, okay? Just, yeah, keep on pushing monkeypox. Just don't mention the fact that most people are fucking dropping dead from, I don't know, a certain other vaccination that was running around. Just saying. I will be declaring a public health emergency on monkeypox. We're taking our responsibility to the next level, Becerra said, stating that Americans should take monkeypox seriously. No, I fuck women, okay? I'm pretty much fine, okay? I think I can consider myself virtually vaccinated of this, or at least have acquired some sort of natural immunity because I'm a heterosexual male. Just saying. Walensky said the public health declaration will provide more access to resources, more fucking money because that previous pandemic is starting to run a little bit thin, and will enable personnel to be deployed to the outbreak. Where? Are you gonna head down to the fucking Stonewall in New York City or Pulse Night? Ooh. The emergency will also further raise awareness and encourage testing for it. Hey, your dick and balls a little bit more bumpy than they are normally? Is that nick when you were shaving your sack just not going away and it seems to be getting worse? Perhaps you have monkeypox. Go out and get the jab. That what some of the advertisements going to be like. Again, why do you need additional money to put up fucking flyers, you worthless cocksuckers? You already have fucking funding in place. In the United States, there are 1.6 to 1.7 million people who are at the highest risk. Say their names. Of contracting monkeypox, according to the CDC director. Okay, public health emergency, not 1.67. We'll just go ahead and play it right down the middle. Okay, less than 2 million people, not even 1% of the population, at high risk. This is so ridiculous, and I think that they probably reached peak hilarity when it comes to a public health crisis, because this one, you just do a little bit of digging. It's like, oh, monkeypox, it's so bad. Well, what is it? It's a disease that people can get in close contact with one another. Oh, wow, that does sound terrible. What are all the symptoms? Kind of a scratchy throat, but oh man, you're gonna get bumps all over your genitals. Wait, what? No, excuse me. How does that work? Oh yeah, close contact. You know, like rubbing next together. It's transmitted the same way like syphilis and gonorrhea and HIV gets transmitted. You know, in close contact. Oh, okay, cool. You don't put your mouth or your other junk in the close proximity of anything that looks, you know, a little bit moldy, musty, bumpy, or drippy, okay? I think that'll be fine, right? Lord have mercy. They're being a little too bold with this declaration, at least in my opinion, right? Okay. This is like all the hate that Trump gets. I know that this is going to sound like a little bit of a stretch, but just follow me down this thought process for a second. This is something that I just came up with. Could be completely wrong, but at least indulge my thought experiment for a moment. Okay. This disease, this virus, this sexually transmitted disease, whatever the fuck you want to call it, okay, is not a danger to anybody, okay? Realistically speaking, like, come on, it passes. It's not something that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life, like herpes or AIDS or anything like that. It is just a simple STD that has now entered the population and may or may not eventually get fucking killed off. That's fine, wonderful, fantastic. The fact that they're placing so much emphasis, the government this is, placing so much emphasis on this right now, it is ripe for memeing, okay? It is ripe to be laughed at and criticized, because 1.7 million people at best are at highest risk. Why are the public having to take precautions for this? This is where you start to pierce the veil and you start to realize that, maybe we've been lied to about other public health emergencies beforehand. It was like whenever the media would take such a hardline stance against Trump and people were, it's like, well, I kind of heard this other thing, but then the media is telling me this other thing, and then I did some of my own independent research and kind of realized that, oh, fuck, the media has been lying to me about that one specific statement, okay, whether it was rapists coming along the southern border, all Mexicans are rapists, and then he realized that, oh, he was just talking about the MS-13 gang who literally traffics rapists and a bunch of other illicit shit across the border. So the more you know, G.I. Joe. And then you start to do other digging on other things. So maybe this is just going to be a little red pill. I don't know what the color of the vaccination for the monkeypox is, but maybe it would be that for the general public, okay? I think that they're overreaching when it comes to this type of a declaration because, again, I'm sure it sucks if you catch it, but I'm not at risk. Nobody I know is at risk. And as of right now, like, how many cases are we chilling at here? Yeah, the last time I talked about this, it was just a shade under 1,400 cases. 1,500 cases in the past week for a grand total of 6,600 monkeypox infections. Public health emergency, if I've ever heard it before. But unfortunately for us, the administration was not done with that one simple, stupid declaration. The Department of Justice had to, seemingly from the fucking sky, drop some charges, okay, on some people that had already gone through a grand jury indictment at the state level. So why are the feds coming in now after it was revealed at the state level these guys didn't do anything wrong? Okay. Another one of these. Oh, remember the Summer of Love? Yeah. Unfortunately, those abortion protests didn't really have the vim and vigor that the ones back in 2020 did. So we're going to have to go back into the history books. We're going to have to drag up an already settled problem and, have to parse through some some of the more unsightly details when it comes to this case here. So I was a little bit shocked when I seen this one come up. DOJ charges current and former police officers in connection with raid that killed Breonna Taylor. Oh boy, this is one of those big 3 BLM cases that came out right at the beginning of the Summer of Love, okay? You had Ahmaud Arbery, right? And I don't know a hell of a lot when it comes to that story. All I know is that all 3 of those guys went down, the father, the son, and the retarded neighbor. Obviously, yeah, had George Floyd, okay, and all the strange shit that went on there, okay, with Bill Barr stepping in and intervening in a plea deal that Derek Chauvin was willing to cop to, and then eventually got a plea deal from the feds that was basically exactly the same to stay in Club Fed for the next 25 years. Weird shit how that happens. And then you had this one, Breonna Taylor, right? This was the whole no-knock warrant, and then you dig into some of the details that were there, and it's like, well, no, not quite. Police officers announced who they were, okay. Was there one endangerment when one of the officers heard some shots being fired from outside and just decided to fucking open fire onto the multifamily homes that were in close vicinity? Yeah, but was Breonna Taylor herself killed in her bed? No. And was there more to this story than just the simple wrong address, which was one of the first things that was purported in the media around the time? But this is going back 2 years ago at this point, so why now? And what charges are we looking at? U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced Thursday that the Department of Justice has filed charges against Hunter Biden. Oh, somebody who they should actually be looking into. No, we're just going to go after some police officers because that's always a winning topic, right? 4 former and current Louisville police officers in connection with the death of Breonna Taylor. The charges include civil rights offenses. What? How so? Unlawful conspiracy. Sorry, what? And unconstitutional use of force and obstruction offenses. Sorry, what? Federal charges announced today allege that members of the Police Investigations Unit falsified the affidavit used to obtain the search warrant of Ms. Taylor's home, and that this act violated federal civil rights laws, and those violations resulted in Ms. Taylor's death. No, her grabbing a firearm and then trying to go out guns blazing with her at the time fuck buddy. Oh, right. Ooh, that's another one of those unsightly details. Yeah. Garland said the news conference the federal charges against Detective Joshua Janes, former Louisville Detective Kelly Gottlet, Sergeant Kyle Meany, alleged they violated Taylor's Fourth Amendment rights when they sought a warrant to search Taylor's home while knowing they lacked probable cause. No, not really, because I remember going over, and some of the details of this case are a little bit fuzzy, but I know this for a fact, okay? She was receiving mail and packages from her former boyfriend, some confidant in some form or fashion, at another drug house because that's what they were looking for, because they're Breonna Taylor's boyfriend at that residence right there. Long and short of it is, they were all involved in this drug running scheme, so yeah, I don't really think that that's a lack of probable cause. And again, this was all decided at a state level, so this is just the DOJ deciding to swoop in on a case that's ice fucking cold. It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. The fact that the feds are coming in on this one means that they think that they have a case, but again, have they looked at any of this stuff, or are they just trying to get an easy plea deal out of this? Like, what are we talking here? And that they knew in their affidavit supporting the warrant contained false and misleading information and omitted other material information resulting in her death. No, again, her wielding a firearm and getting shot in the hallway probably led to her death, just saying. Among other things, the affidavit falsely claimed that the officers had verified the target, the alleged drug trafficking operation, and received packages at Miss Taylor's address. In fact, defendants Janes and Goodett knew that was not true. Yeah, but that was true, though, so what are you talking about? Garland said during the press conference. Garland also alleges that Janes and Goodlet knew armed officers will be carrying out the raid at Taylor's home, and that they conducted the search to create a dangerous situation for anyone who happened to be in Ms. Taylor's home. No, they knew exactly who was going to be there. So again, what are you getting at? Prosecutors allege that Janes and Goodlet met in the garage after Taylor's death, where they agreed to tell investigators looking into the botched raid a false story. This could be interesting, but again, you've already outlined a bunch of provably false information in order to get to something that could potentially be true. You've already kind of set yourself up for a failure right here. Charges have also been filed against Brent Hankinson, okay, a former Louisville Metro police officer who was involved in the death of Breonna Taylor. Yeah, he was one of the assholes who was out there in the parking lot who was just fucking all guns blazing. He was an idiot, and he was charged with wanton endangerment. Yeah, has been charged with 2 counts of indictment for deprivation of rights under the color of law. What the fuck does that even mean? Oh, you deprived her of rights. Which ones? The right to life? But his gun didn't fire the round that killed her, so what are you talking about? Both of which are civil rights offenses. Hankinson allegedly used unconstitutional excessive force during the raid, which he fired 10 shots through a window and sliding glass door in Taylor's house. It was covered by blinds and curtains, and there was no longer a lawful objective justifying use of deadly force. Again, this was all decided by a grand jury at a state level, okay, in late 2020 or early 2021. I can't remember the time frame. They might get into some of the facts here, but there's a lot of big fucking bold statements here. The Justice Department had the pattern of practice investigating ongoing in the Louisville Police Department since April 2021. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark, that name sounds familiar too, from the DOJ Civil Rights Division, told reporters the separate investigation remains ongoing and that the DOJ has a team on the ground still conducting interviews with stakeholders and are conducting ride-alongs with police there. Oh boy, that doesn't sound like a huge burden on the fucking police department. Louisville officers conducted a raid at Taylor's apartment on March 13th, 2020, around the 1:45 in the morning when officers broke down the door to the apartment. A guest in Taylor's home, her boyfriend, who was also a drug runner and who they were going after, knowing that he would be residing there that evening, and because he was a high-profile, highly dangerous individual, they required the no-knock warrant, but didn't even execute the no-knock part of that. They informed, and that was corroborated with multiple neighbors, okay, in that condo unit. When the officers broke down the door to the apartment, as you do, a guest in Taylor's home, it's so nice that they don't want to name the guy, fired a single gunshot using a legally purchased firearm. That's nice. He was still shooting at a police officer who had announced that they were coming into the residence. It's so nice that ABC points out that it was a legally purchased firearm, but he was still using it to shoot at police officers, which is a crime. So again, you don't want to blame the gun in this situation? Is that what we're going to be going for? Oh, okay, cool. 2 Louisville officers then fired a total of 22 shots into the apartment, one of which hit Taylor in the chest, according to information filed by the Justice Department. Oh, okay, that's nice. And again, all of this evidence was put before a state grand jury, and they found that none of this shit was credible. Just saying. Third officer moved into the doorway, the side of the apartment, and fired 10 more shots through a window, a sliding glass door. Yeah, after they heard the shots that were coming. Just saying. Garland also alleges that the officers who carried out the raid were not involved in drafting the warrant and were unaware of the false or misleading statements they contained and carried out the raid. Yeah, but they were all still adhering to the same practices that they would do in order to carry out that same type of raid. So just because the premise you're alleging it's faulty doesn't mean that their practices were out of line of that. Just saying. Garland said that he spoke with Taylor's family earlier Thursday and informed them of the charges we share, but we cannot fully imagine the grief of Breonna Taylor's loved ones and all those affected by the events of March 13th, 2020. Breonna Taylor should still be alive today. Yeah, no, of course, all that stuff. Oh, civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Oh, my God. He's just so happy you can get another fucking payday out of this. Praise the Department of Justice for the charges, calling them profound. Oh, just fuck off, you grifter. Dude, this is just an opportunity to just raise up BLM once again because, oh, there's going to be federal charges against the murderers of Breonna Taylor. It'll get everybody out there stumping for whatever the fuck they need out there. Oh, injustices in police departments, Republicans are bad and shit. Just don't take a look at the personal politics of Louisville, okay, specifically. Yeah, you wouldn't want to, dig into that anywhere. So we'll see where this goes, because these charges seem a little bit fucking dubious, if you ask me, considering we know all of this stuff beforehand, and there's a pretty extensive back catalog of evidence that just kind of doesn't really paint the entire situation in the best light. But the long and short of it is, there was an opportunity to charge somebody with murder or with assault or endangerment, and nothing really came out of it to begin with. But then all of a sudden the old man in the fucking Justice Department decides that I have the facts now. Yeah, I don't really know, man. It just kind of seems like they're just trying to drag up old issues in order to resuscitate their flagging party. But that's just my opinion on it. Maybe you guys have something different on it. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.